Have you ever stepped out into your own backyard and realized you were the last to know a massive party was happening there? Not next door there, in your garden, with strangers laughing, drinking, leaning on your trees like they owned the place. Yeah, that happened. And let me tell you, the base wasn't the only thing shaking that afternoon. See, Rafael Moreno had just retired. A 68-year-old civil engineer, meticulous to the core, the kind of guy who alphabetizes his spice rack and levels picture frames with a laser. He'd moved into a quiet cul-de-sac in Crestwood Hills just 6 months earlier, hoping to live out his golden years among azaleas, tomato vines, and the sound of nothing but birds and maybe the occasional squirrel chase. But what he got was Beverly Knight. Now Beverly, she ran the HOA like it was a dictatorship, disguised in pastels. First time Rafael met her, she didn't say hi or welcome. She pointed at his trash bins. Welchen. Must be hidden from street view per Section 3B. Mind you, his furniture hadn't even arrived yet. But that was Beverly more bylaw than human. Still, Rafael kept to himself. He figured, live and let live. Until that June morning, it started with bass, then balloons, then laughter, then champagne cups balancing on the limbs of his late wife's memorial Japanese maple. And that's when the ground shifted under him, not metaphorically, literally. An inflatable water slide, the size of a city bus, had been anchored in his flower bed. There were easily 50 people on his lawn, and dead in the center of it all, Beverly, in a sequined caftan, holding a mimosa like it was a scepter. He approached her calmly, as calm as a man whose peonies are being crushed by teenagers can be, and said, "Beverly, why is your son's graduation party happening in my yard?" She didn't blink. "Rafael," she said, as if scolding a child. "That backstrip, that's shared community space, always has been. Ask around." So he did. And apparently, the previous owner let her host a few gatherings there. Informal stuff. But there was nothing in writing, and nothing legal. Just assumed permission, now stretched into entitled delusion. Rafael didn't shout, didn't argue. He just walked back inside, poured himself a cup of coffee, and called a surveyor, $600 later. He had a stamped, notarized, county-approved map showing his fence, his trees, his bushes, and a good 2 feet of Beverly's prized rose hedge, planted squarely on his land. He made 3 copies, one for his records, one for the HOA, and one hand-delivered to Beverly herself. She ripped it up, right there, on her doorstep, then slammed the door. Now here's where it takes a turn. You'd think someone caught red-handed would back off. Not Beverly. 2 weeks later, boom, another party, bigger, catered, a DJ, a bar, strangers everywhere. One guy was grilling burgers on Rafael's patio. That was the moment. Rafael didn't yell. Instead, he changed clothes from gardening khakis to a white button-up, dark slacks, polished shoes. Walked outside like a man about to reclaim what was his. Conversations halted. Someone lowered the music. Beverly saw him and froze. "You're not welcome here," she hissed, trying to block his path. "This is my yard," he replied, calm as a breeze. Her son, Trevor, all teenage bravado, strutted over. "You trying to ruin my party." Man, Rafael didn't flinch. "No. Son, your mother did that the moment she taught you disrespect." Beverly whipped out her phone and called 911. "Yes. There's a man in my backyard, threatening me. He's scaring everyone." When the cops arrived, Beverly looked smug, but that lasted about 30 seconds. Officer Daniels saw Rafael, saw the survey papers in his hand, listened, and then turned to Beverly. "Ma'am," he said, "you and your guests are trespassing. You need to clear the area." She lost it. Screaming, accusing, flailing, until the other officer ran her name And everything changed. "Carolyn Beverly Knight," he said. "You have an active bench warrant. You're under arrest." The party emptied out like a popped balloon. Within 30 minutes, Raphael's yard was quiet again, except for the crushed flowers, empty cups, and a Japanese maple missing 2 branches. But the story didn't end there. Weeks later, a letter arrived, legal stationery. Beverly was suing Raphael, claiming emotional distress, defamation, even theft of communal space. Ridiculous. Absolutely. But Raphael wasn't rattled. He hired Bill Kavanaugh, a bulldog attorney with a specialty in HOA fraud. And that's when they found the twist. Turns out, Beverly had created a fake landscaping company under her maiden name, Nightworks LLC, and used it to funnel HOA funds to herself for maintenance no one ever saw. Raphael's lawsuit unearthed years of embezzlement, ghost invoices, fake vendors, inflated charges. In court, her lawyer's face turned ghost white as Raphael's team laid out check after check, receipt after forged receipt. By the end of the deposition, Beverly didn't argue. She just sat there, makeup cracking, foundation streaked with sweat, staring at the floor. She resigned from the HOA the next morning. And here's the kicker, a week after that, her son Trevor came by, said he was moving in with his dad, apologized for everything, said, "My mom always thought she could get away with stuff, until she couldn't." Now Raphael still lives in Crestwood Hills. The HOA is quiet. The new president sends monthly emails about mulch and trash pickup, no drama, no citations, just peace. Raphael rebuilt his garden, planted new azaleas, and sometimes, while sipping tea on his porch, he looks at that old Japanese maple and smiles. Because sometimes, justice doesn't come with a gavel or a fist. Sometimes, it arrives in a squad car, called by the very person who needed arresting. So what do you think? Was Raphael too patient? Did Beverly get what she deserved? Or do stories like this say something bigger about entitlement and community? Let me know in the comments, and hey, if you've ever had an HOA horror story, I'm all ears.